All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Jason from Elevated Signals. If you don't know me, I'm the product manager here. I think we'll get started now. So thank you for joining our webinar today. We're going to talk a little about our bill of materials feature and tracking non-cannabis inventory in Elevated Signals. So in this one today, I'm going to walk through just a bit of my product setup that I have in here to give some background on it. Then we'll kind of go through some of the different products that I will be tracking. We'll set up a few different BOMs for a few different use cases, essentially recipes for our work orders. And then we'll go through, consume them in work orders, and look at some of our live reporting to kind of view the inventory move in and out. After the demos, there'll be some time for Q&A. So as I'm moving through my examples, feel free to just drop some questions into the Q&A chat, and we'll get to that just at the end of the presentation. And if we happen to not get to your question, we will reach out to you. So without further ado, I can kind of start talking about the non-cannabis inventory tracking aspect. So I'm move into the software here, and I'm just going to go through some of my product setup here. So I've got a lot of different products here. I kind of want to move through a few different examples today. I want to do one for consuming nutrients against your plants as you grow. I'm going to do one for kind of the bulk production of pre-rolls and then packaging those, including excise stamp production here. Um, so I guess the first thing I want to go through is just this live reporting function. So if I go to the reporting page, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. Under the processing section, I'm going to hit this live view button here. And this is just going to show all of the inventory I have active in my system right now. So I've got, some milled cannabis that I'll be processing. And I've got, some nutrients, some stamps, and some pack mats that I'll be using for each of the examples I'll be moving through. And this is my current inventory state of it. So I'll move through the examples, and then we'll come back here towards the end, and we'll see these values update and show that we're tracking things live. Um, let's build a bomb. So why do we want to use a bomb in the first place? It can really simplify data entry for large and complex work orders. And also just makes it so that you can, sorry, I'm getting a little distracted here. I'm just going to make a bomb here. So I'm going to do a nutrient feeding bomb here. So one thing that's pretty cool about this is we're going to be able to consume this against a work order type I have here called nutrient application. So when I pop into this bomb here, I'm going to be able to go to bomb actions and add inputs to this. So I've prepared a couple of inventories. So I've got inventory here, and under product, I've got two nutrients: grow fast, grow big. And under quantity, I'm just going to put however much I want to apply per plant that I'll be using this against. So maybe I'll keep it simple, something like 1.5, and I'll have this apply multiplier checkbox ticked. And we'll go through how that works when I go and use this bomb. And then I'll add another input, inventory, grow big, and I'll use a different number. I'll just use 1 here. And once again, I'll leave that apply multiplier checked. Then I'm going to hit this edit button here. Oops, sorry, wrong one. I'm going to hit this release button here. And now I'm going to be able to actually use this bomb. So we'll go through the bomb creation a few times during these demos. So if that went a little quick, don't worry about it. I'll go through it in more detail pretty much every single time. So I'm going to pop over to my work order screen now. And actually, hold on. I'll go to my cultivation batches first. And I've got a couple of plant batches here. I've got 2, and they're in the same grow room, 100 plants in each of them. So let's say I want to apply these nutrients. Maybe I have a mixing tank. and I apply it on like a per plant basis, and I want to apply that to all of the plants in this room. Then I can go through work orders, make a new work order, and I have one set up here called nutrient application. And then I'll apply my nutrient bill of material that I just made to this. And I know I have 200 plants I want to apply this to, so I can multiply my bill of material by 200. So when I create this, I can pop into my work order, open that up. And when I look at my inputs, you can see I have some pending lines for that grow fast and grow big that I added, and it multiplied uh, the BOM recipe by the number that I put into the BOM multiplier there. So I can either click on this purple pending tag or this select inventory tag to basically start adding nutrients to this work order. So click on this purple pending tag. I have one lot, so things kind of auto-filled for me here. I can see how much I have remaining. I can just go ahead and just hit add. This is how much stuff I want to add. And add. Another thing that was recently added is when you add plants, you can also add them by location. So I can actually go ahead and say, hey, I want to feed this to my entire grow room. When I do this, it'll add in all 200 of my plants from the grow room from both batches that I had in there. So now I have a work order that is going to consume my nutrients from me so I can make sure that my inventory is up to date on what I've got in storage here. But I've also got it applied to all of the right plants here and the right batches. So I'll be able to pull the information for this down. And along with that, you know, the lot tracking details of each of these non-cannabis inventories. So I'll close this work order off and I'll kind of show that a little bit here. That for example, this inventory of this grow fast, we can see that we received it from a purchase order here. And then we use some of it in this nutrient application. So you can really see where each individual inventory that you're receiving is being used against your plants or batches. So just wanted to run through one of these examples because it can be a little bit of like a less obvious use case for bombs here to consume nutrients. So I'm going to go through another set of examples now. It's going to be bulk pre-roll production and packaging. And this is going to include consumption of excise stamps and packaging materials. So we'll head on back to our BOMs page and I'll make a new bill of materials. So whenever we make a new bill of materials, we can name it. So I'll call this one bulk 0.5 gram pre-roll production. And then I'll just set this against my bulk pre-roll production work order type. And hit create, pop in, and BOM actions. And we'll start adding some, actually, I'll start with adding an output side to this BOM. I think it'll kind of frame how to set how you can think about setting one of these up. So for the type of output, I'll select inventory and I will choose my bulk pre-roll 0.5 gram product that I'm going to create. I'm going to select the unit to be individual units. So like my each is here. And for quantity, 1. And then I'll hit apply multiplier and hit create. So now all I have to do on my input side is just throw in all of the things that make one of these bulk pre-roll 0.5 grams. So I can go ahead and hit add inputs. And now I'm going to have a few different things that I want to add here. So I have some milled cannabis. Ideally, I'm using exactly 0.5 grams per pre-roll that I create. Add inputs, inventory. This time I'm going to add in my pre-roll filters. I'm going to use 1 per pre-roll. And then I'm going to add another inventory, and this one's going to be my papers, pre-roll, oh, sorry, cones. And I'm going to use 1 per bulk pre-roll. Go ahead and hit create. And so I think I'm ready to use this bomb. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the release button in the top right. And then we'll head back over to our work order page to use that again. So work order type, bulk pre-roll production. I'm going to choose the BOM I'm going to use here. So bulk 0.5 gram pre-roll production. So if you wanted to have a different recipe for 1 gram bulk pre-rolls, or maybe some use a different type of filter or anything like that, you can have multiple BOMs per work order type, like how I just created. And this can be where you basically make your selection of what it is that you're producing. Um, so I'll choose the BOM I just made. Let's say I just want to make 100 of these. Go ahead and hit create. And go in, actions, open work order. And now when I expand my input and output sections, you'll see that I have all of my products here loaded up and ready to go so that I can choose. All I have to do now is just choose which inventories I actually want to consume to fulfill this work order. So it makes it a lot easier to kind of, you can imagine if you have a work order that has a lot of inputs here, this doesn't have to be a choice anymore. And that can really be something that reduces error in data entry as you go. So I'll fill some of this stuff out. So maybe we're grabbing our 100 pre-roll cones and filters, and these all came in fine. We nothing went wrong here. But let's say we're pulling in our milled cannabis here. You're not locked into using exactly the multiplier amount that we've set here. So it says 50 grams. That's just at least how much we need to make this. So we can bring in more. So maybe if you're using 1 kg bags, you want to bring in 1,000 kilograms, or if you're overfilling, maybe you can just bring in the amount that you overfill by. Um, I'll bring in I'll bring in my 1 kg bag here. So I'll go ahead and hit use remaining inventory. And then I do my production. So then I hit this pending here, and then I just select where this goes. So I believe I'm using EF2 here. And then I'll just set this to secure storage. So I'm just making that pre-roll happen. Go ahead and hit add. Boom, 100 bulk pre-rolls created. Obviously, I didn't use all 1,000 of this, so I'm just going to use the little return button here. Maybe put back 900 grams into this inventory. And I've got a pretty good looking work order here. Yeah, so I'll close this off and I will move into next example, which will be consuming more packaging materials, but also excise stamps. So it's going to be a lot of the same, but worth seeing. So actually, I'll do two example here. So packaging, I also a 3 by 0.5 gram pre-rolls. And then I'll say for Ontario here. And I'll go for my packaging work order type. I'll pop into my work order, sorry, BOM. And I'll start by adding an output to my BOM. Inventory product is going to be my packaged pre-rolls 3 by 0.5. Eaches here is going to be in, let's say, make 1. Now for my input side, for inventory, I'm going to pick my bulk pre-roll. And I'm going to use units. And I take 3 per 3 by 0.5. Let it apply multiplier. And then we'll go ahead and add more inputs. So also have some stamps. So I have my Ontario stamps. So 1 stamp per tube. And then I want to set up my pre-roll tubes, 1 per set of 3. And then I'll bring in my tube labels, 1 per set of 3. Tube. I believe this is everything I wanted to add for this one. I'll just give it a quick scan. Yep. So I'll go ahead and just check it's against the right work order type, and I can release this. So kind of talking about what I was talking about before, where you can have multiple BOMs associated with the work order type. When I make a new bill of material here, I can also copy a bill of material. So when I hit this copy button, I can select which one I want to copy. So maybe I want to copy my 3x0.5 pre-roll Ontario. I'm going to make the new name for BC, create. And then when I pop into my newly created version here, you can see that everything copies in, so I can just change the one inventory product that I want to change. I think I have to remove it and then add the other input type of my excise stamp BC, one per set here. So now I have two BOMs. If I want to create my 3x0.5 pre-rolls for Ontario and one for BC, I can make that selection just when I create the work order. And then the right excise stamp will be set up here. And if you have different, output sided products, like if you have a packaged pre-roll product that is for BC and one for Ontario, then you could switch out the output side here too, and basically just set up all of your recipes that way. I'll hit release here and then we'll just walk through one last work order. So I'll go ahead and hit new work order. We'll do packaging. I'll produce for BC. Yeah, I'm going to make, I think it was 100. Oh, wait, no, hold on. Let's go for 30. And we'll pop in my last work order, open it up. There's all my inventories. So I'll go ahead and throw everything in. So I know I need 90 quantities of my bulk pre-rolls, so I can bring all of that in. So 30 of my 5,000 pre-roll tubes, 30 tube labels, and 30 BC stamps. Um, and just a reminder that you're not locked into these numbers. You can absolutely just change them here at the time of entry. So if you folded a couple stamps, it happens. You can bring in, 31, 32 of them, and even put them as a destruction event there if needed. So bring in 30 stamps, and then we'll output our packaged pre-rolls to EF2, slide them into secure storage. Um, that is for the most part the demo portion. So that's most of what I wanted to show today. But one last thing I wanted to go through was going back to our live view for my monthly opening inventory detail page. So live view button, we'll check the state of our inventory again. You can see that everything is decremented, right? We have 30 less BC stamps. Those nutrients that we used have been subtracted from, and my pack mats are live. So all of my inventory here is live. You can see those new packaged pre-rolls that I made, the bulk pre-rolls that I made, and everything is here. So yeah, from this spot too, I highlighted it once, but I'll do it again. You can check in directly to maybe this lot for your BC stamps and just check where they've been used, which work orders they've been used against as well. Um, that is, for the most part, everything that I had prepared today. Back up here. Don't see many open questions here, so maybe we'll give a few minutes if anyone has any questions to throw in. Um, Otherwise, thank you for watching today. And oh, great question. When I added the quantity of plant to the work order, did not consume the plants and take them out of inventory. So actually, within work orders, within our work order type options here, um, which one was I using? Nutrient application. There is a option at the top here, archive remaining plants in work order when it's closed. So this is an option that you can just turn off so that when you close a work order with plants only on one side, so plants just on the input side there, they won't archive those plants, so they won't go anywhere, so they won't be consumed. Um, yeah, Chris. When using the unit value for pre-rolls and putting monthly reporting, does the weight value also show up? Yes, it does. So actually, I can kind of show what that looks like. So on this live reporting page here, right now I have the column set up so it's just showing total and unit here. But I can adjust the columns, and I have a couple of other columns I can use. So I can use custom unit value and custom unit. I'll reload the report with those selected. So they come up blank. And what you can do is you can select the SI unit conversion here. We could choose gram, for example. And now if a conversion to gram exists, it'll present it in these set of columns here. So for example, these bulk pre-rolls are 10 eaches in inventory, but they can convert to grams. So it says 5 grams here. My package pre-rolls, I have 30 eaches, but they present as 45 grams here because they're 1.5 per. And that's just set up with our equivalent unit system, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Alex, for a given material, example caps, we might have different manufacturer production lots that you'd want to track. Is this possible? Absolutely. So I'm going to go down to my setup again. So I have my inventory products here. So you have different manufacturer production lots. So they're coming from the same vendor, I assume. So for each of these, so let's just say I'll just use, maybe one of these nutrients grow fast, for example. When I pop in here, I can go to edit. I didn't go through this at the beginning, but I have these products set up so that they don't have require batch on. So they're just basically lot tracking only. So this way you don't have to manage a batch on top of it because it's just some material that's just going to sit in your storage until you use it. But right now, the way I have it set up, for each of my products, I only have one inventory in there. But let's say, we crack another purchase order um, from my plant nutrition company, and I add some more inventory of my Grow Fast. Let's say I order another kilogram of it, and I'll just quickly receive it. When I'm receiving it, storage, I can let it create a new lot here. And here, let me just pop back over to here. This lot name here is auto-generated from our system, but you can also name it yourself. So for example, here, if you wanted to put in your manufacturer lot ID, you could do that and receive it. And now if I just give this a big old refresh, you can see I have my second set of Grow Fast, and then the lot ID can show up there. You can also do the same thing for your inventory names as well. And then if by default, the way you consume this inventory is first in, first out, that is also the default behavior of our software. So if you're going to go to a work order input and you don't want to pick the specific lot, you just want to kind of pull some out, it'll always just pull first in, first out. So if there is leftover materials that were not consumed in the input section of the work order, would you add those leftover amounts in the outputs and return them to their location? Yes, I would, Perry. I probably went over that a little bit fast, so I'll just review it again. I'll just make a new one. So I'll make another bulk pre-roll production, and I'll do this. So let's make another 100 bulk pre-rolls. So you don't have to have bombs to have this behavior I'm about to show, but I'll just go ahead and that's not what I wanted to do. Add my other items here so that we can see this. Then we produced 100 into EF2 into secure storage. So for example, here with the milled cannabis, you know, this one requires 50 grams. You're probably not going to bring 50 grams in the room. You're probably going to bring, some subset of like bulk bag lots. So like 900 grams here, for example, you'll probably just bring all of that because this is probably just one bulk bag. So I'll just bring all of it in. So now I'm looking at my 900 grams of milled cannabis. We made our 100 bulk pre-roll. Maybe it took like 55, 60 grams. What I would do then is just weigh out you can either weigh out whatever you have left that you want to throw back into inventory, or you can just subtract if you weighed in what you put into your pre-rolls. You could weigh that out and just minus it from 900. But we have this return button next to this input here. So when you hit the return button, it actually uses the existing inventory. So if you have any like labels on the bag or anything like that, if you're just going to throw it right back into the same vacuum seal bag and seal it up, that works, right? So you could just throw it right back into the same inventory. You can choose to actually create a new inventory. It'll actually get filed back to the same lot as well. So up to you at that point. But for this one, I'm going to use existing inventory. So maybe we throw back 835 grams this time. And I think I turned off processing loss for this. Let me just go here. Processing loss. It's going to look a little funky because of the non-cannabis inventories, but um, you can look at my gram processing loss here side, and it's going to take into account that I have returned some of that milled cannabis to inventory. So I've only got 65 grams of loss, and it went into these bulk pre-rolls, I believe. Um, cool. Let's see. All right. Thank you everyone for your questions. Is there a video feed? Yes, there will be a recording of this, and I'm actually not sure where we keep them, but there is a recording of this.
Yeah,
Um,
we will send out a recording via email to all the registered participants.
Perfect. Thanks, Jess. Cool. Um, I'm not seeing any other questions come in. There is, I believe, I can't remember, was this scheduled for 45? So, if there's no other questions, maybe we'll just call it early and one more. We'll keep it open for a few more minutes. Or as long as questions keep coming in. Can we also capture destroyed consumables? Tube is dropped down and thrown away. It's a great question, Camilla. I'm going to reopen this one that I have just so I don't have to keep doing the same stuff over and over. Right now, you would have to add any destroyed consumables that you made in here into the probably either into a destruction event, which I know is not ideal, or you could just add more than you consume. So like let's say if your plan was to bring in um and use 100 pre-roll cones, but really you used like 120. When I remove this input, actually my bomb setting will come back. So the bomb is saved to the work order type. So we have the information in the back. We're working on a report that'll kind of talk a little bit more about like the efficiency of your bombs. So you could actually just do its work, and then if you ended up using like 120 pre-roll cones because some got destroyed while you were using it, you could actually just put 120 here um, instead of setting it as a destruction event. And then I'm hoping to kind of have a report. I'm kind of mocking it right now. Let me actually see if I can pull up an example of what I'm thinking it might look like. Draft of a report, but um, I'm thinking it might look something like this, where you have the BOM value. So this would be like the multiplier value of your paper with filter, or something like that, and then the amount you actually used. And so then you would get an idea of like a percentage of your usage of materials for any given BOM. So maybe if this actual value that you used was 1200, then we used 120% of what we expected to use here. So I'm still kind of like drafting out exactly what this report will look like, just to make sure that everything is in here and is useful. But um, this is what I'm hoping I'm going to be able to provide here. So on inputs, you can see inefficiencies, and on outputs, you could kind of see just overall efficiency of that BOM in a way. Um, Threshold alerts. Um, like I'm gonna assume you mean processing loss threshold, or are you talking about stock level alerts? I can talk a little bit about both. Um, so on the work order type, on any given work order type, there is a little add processing loss warning here. So it's not quite an alert. It's not like a notification, but you can set an upper and lower bound percentage on what processing loss you're expecting to see. So maybe you're doing a pre-roll production, and you know that you're going to actually see a processing loss of somewhere between um, let's say like 2 and 5%, but you'll never see that in the negative direction. And the upper bound would be like 5%, and the lower bound would be 0. Or if you, I mean, 0 might not be realistic, so maybe 2. And then you would see that, and then it would just kind of turn the processing loss. It would like kind of add like a little yellow kind of like box around it if it exceeds that, just to kind of like give you a warning. Um, and then this can also go negative as well. So if you want to do like -5 to 5% for things that where that might make sense, that is an option. And then for things like a stock level alerting, that is something that we're looking to add into the software, hopefully sometime this quarter, if not the next. So, yeah. Um, Excise stamps, destroyed stamps. Um, or destroyed stamps, I think putting into destruction event is fine, because I think um, that is like a regulatory destruction. You can't just kind of like chuck them in the garbage. So I'd probably just throw them into a destruction lot and destroy that, like how you destroy cannabis materials. And if that doesn't work, reach out to us and we can talk more about this offline. Um, Might have missed something there, but with variable feed rates for irrigation, plants were fed a liter on Monday, but 2 liter on Tuesday. Would you set up the BOM as the multiplier per liter and use a multiplier of 1 or 2 per plant? Lyle, great question. I want to make sure I do it justice. So I hope I'm interpreting this correctly. Um, I'm just gonna read that again here. Plants were fed a liter on Monday, but 2 liter feed on Tuesday. Would I set up the BOM per liter and use it? Yes, yes, absolutely. So Um, right now, my nutrient setup here is um, the multiplier amount that I set it for is a per plant basis. So I have like this is like 1.5 gram per plant, 1 gram per plant. So when you're setting up the BOM, if you know how many plants you're working with, then you can go ahead and set that as like 1.5. Well, like just basically you can set up the ratio like this. And then when you start the work order, you can just set the multiplier as the number of plants you're going to add. We don't have something that kind of like so that it knows however many plants you're adding, because the BOM kind of comes in before you would even ever add plants. Um, However, I think that if you were doing something like just a regular nutrient feed, Like maybe it's something like where you would rather mix off of liters, you could have a product that tracks maybe water somehow. Just maybe just have like a large volume of water on hand, and then you could add in like a liter to your inputs, and then everything could be kind of like diluted down to how many of this per liter of water, how much of this per liter of water. And then for your bomb multiplier, you could instead just add um total number of liters that you've mixed, and then you can just add all the plants that it's going to hit. So kind of setting this against the dilution rate for a mix. And then when you use the bomb multiplier, however much of the mix that you're going to be feeding those plants. Um, excise stamps, how to deal with it, as we need to account for stamps used, stamps damaged, but you must keep on hand as damaged stamps. You can't do the destruction of these stamps. That is a fantastic question, Rob. I don't think I have an answer for you right now, so we might have to reach out. But off the top of my head, I'm thinking worst case scenario here is to create another product for damaged stamps. And then you could just produce damaged stamps as outputs and track those until you do a destruction of them. Or otherwise, I'm not sure how you eventually get rid of those, or if you just have to keep them on hand forever, in which case it's probably better if we chat offline about that anyways. Um, um, oh, Lyle, you got to it before I did. Um, threshold alert as in a maximum inventory setting. Yes, absolutely. We are looking at um, adding some kind of like stock level setting within the software. Ooh, a lot of questions piled in when I threatened to close the webinar. Maybe I should do that again. Um, any ETA? We're hoping sometime this quarter, Chris. Okay. Um, well, there's only a few minutes left, so I'm gonna just throw it back to this one and say a big thank you to everyone for attending and throwing in many great questions in here. Like I said, we'll be sending out a recording of this to all the registered attendees. Um, and if you have any other questions or you need anything from us, just reach out to success@elevatedsignals.com. I think that's all I have for housekeeping at the end of this. So maybe we'll just call it here. Thanks again for watching. Have a
Good
great
evening,
rest of your week,
everybody.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.